Hey everyone, I am Superphiz, and I want to welcome you to POAP Community Call number 8. This is, I think we technically call this the Curators Community Call because our ultimate goal is to collaborate with the curators and make sure that we're promoting the highest quality POAP delivery that we can. But we do, I guess, colloquially call it just the POAP Community Call. We're glad you came out tonight. We have a couple things on the agenda that I'm extremely excited about. And let me introduce myself and the hosts, and then we will hop into it. I'm Superphiz. I work with the ETHstaker community, and I shitpost everywhere that I haven't been banned. And so I am a decentralization maxi. I spend all my time urging the Ethereum community toward greater decentralization. I'm also obsessed with POAP and Rocket Pool. I will pass it to Defi Dude. He can introduce himself and then pass it on.
Hi everyone, my name's Defi Dude. I also like to post silly things where I can, but I spend a lot of my time focused on my project right now. Obviously, love DeFi and Ethereum and POAP, and yeah, that's me. I will pass it along to anyone else that wants it. Tap, Mr. Mojo, maybe.
Yeah, hey, this is Tap. I run a community called POAPathon that helps people get good POAP designs and other creative designs, which is pretty cool. And a big advocate in POAP and always testing new ways and how to deploy and use and leverage POAPs.
I guess I'll go ahead next. My name is Mr. Mojo, and I also work for ETHstaker. And I guess I could say I may contribute wherever I can, Maxi. I also record and upload these shows to YouTube on the official POAP YouTube channel. So if you ever miss them or you want to go back and watch some of the old shows, you can go there and they're waiting for you.
I don't even know what's happening right now. Hey guys, I'm Logic Beach. What do? I do a lot of different stuff. I'm a hat wearer. I wear a lot of hats. I'm here tonight to just hang out, but also I wanted to share the next Make the World a Better Place challenge for this month. I just got a POAP made, or a few POAPs made. I haven't chose yet on POAPathon. So yeah, there's currently an open bounty for another 2 hours if you guys want to go make an attempt. There's some pretty good ones in there. Some of the stuff made me laugh out loud. So. Oh, and yeah, that's it.
Awesome. I'm not sure if you were quiet or if my audio was down. I'm having some weird audio issues myself.
Working through a 19
Oh, great.
microphone right now.
All right. So we also, Woe, do you want to say hello, Woe?
Sure. I'm Woe. I'm a member of the Rocket Pool community. I love to make POAPs and collect them.
Cool. And we also have a couple curators here. Curators, if you want to speak up and introduce yourselves, if you want to remain quiet and chill, that is fine too.
I'm not a curator, but I will just say I'm Dr. Malachi. I make coffee nervous. I run ultra marathons, and I love POAP. And so I have many different places and vehicles and lanes I run in that would be intriguing to some and not intriguing to others. But I'm just glad to be here, and I'm an addict to Twitter. So we've probably interacted at Twitter at some point in time, whether in the DM or in convo, but that's who I am.
Great. And so I think of Dr. Malachi and Prof. Werder as our local or our resident academics. So I'm happy to have you on the call, and I do have you on the agenda to share. I'm interested in a POAP that you dropped recently. And also I pulled up Coltron. Coltron, I know you from ENS. Do you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for pulling me up, Superphiz. I am Coltron. I am an ENS community steward, also a many hat wearer and do everything maxi, and stoked on POAP. And yeah, excited to hear the conversation.
Cool. So a couple things we want to get into today. The first thing I want to do is tell you about the degen bot, and then I'm gonna shift it over to Isabel. And so DGenBot. If you're here, you know what POAP is. You probably want one. The good news is we do provide a POAP for attending this call. It's a really cool POAP designed by Diablo Verde from POAPathon. And so to get that POAP, you'll need to remain in this call for pretty much the entire call. And when we end the call, we will end the bot and submit addresses to the bot, and then you'll be able to go to the POAP claim channel. Only then you'll be able to go to POAP claim channel, and you will type in /CLAIM, not exclamation mark and not other random things. You will be rate limited, so you'll want to be very careful that you type in /claim. And if you were in the call, if you didn't deafen us or try to listen to 17 calls at one time, then you will likely get a POAP. Now, if you don't, for some reason, the first thing I want to say is I'm sorry. Things don't always work out perfectly. We are trying to do our best to improve our delivery systems. But if for some reason you don't get a POAP this time, I need you to just say, what a bummer, and then come back next week and try again. That means maybe change the way you're doing things, make sure you're not deafening, make sure you're not popping in and out. And experience has shown us that that the DGenBot is extremely efficient at delivering POAPs, and that's what we rely on. We do not handle individual complaints, and instead we'll just say, hey, I'm really sorry about that. I hope you come back next week. I hope you understand that just becomes an administrative nightmare for us. But we're delighted you're here. We hope you hang out with us for an hour. And maybe there are so many extremely exciting things to talk about tonight. But the first thing that I want to talk about actually deals with POAP curation. And with that, I'll introduce Isabel. Isabel is the Chief Operations Officer at POAP. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct. And Superphiz, the job that is kind of like, let's say, less commonly known that I also hold is as acting director of the curation body, which means that I'm also the person that spends a fair amount of time on a daily basis with the assistance of the curators, some of whom are on the call, Kevster and Frankie, reviewing the individual petitions that get submitted by the POAP community. And so one of the things that I actually want to talk about a little bit on this call is exactly about this notion of the POAP community and what we're all doing here actually on this call, which is that in order for us to kind of continue building the ecosystem together, I think one of the things that we've come to appreciate is that there is like a need for a greater ability for people to learn progressively about POAP, grow within the community, and kind of not just participate in its not just kind of participate in the process of dropping POAPs, but also in the development of the network, the development of policy, the curation of the ecosystem, if you will. Because at the end of the day, it is kind of like a project that belongs at some level to all of us, right? And one of the things that we've done in this last week is actually start restructuring the discourse to sort of reflect some of this. And so some people on this call, if you've been to the discourse, fantastic. I'm happy that you've gone there, and I'm happy that you've seen maybe some of the changes. Some of the people here, if you haven't been to the discourse, please go, please visit. There's a lot of great content on there to read, and you'll learn a lot more about better usage of POAP, better ways of doing different things, proper distribution, how we think about policy, and all sorts of imaginable good things. So it's a great place for everything your needs POAP. But to go back to the topic of the restructuring, one of the things that we've actually done is implemented the discourse trust level system at a fairly minimal level at this stage, but it's kind of a bit of a flag on the things to come. So the basic idea with discourse and trust levels, right, is that it kind of permits for a gradual induction of community members into the discourse server, right, such that for individuals who are new to the community, there's like a certain requirement that they may need to read a certain number of topics or reply to a certain number of posts, or otherwise like they may need to do some activities that show that they are invested in the well-being of the project and the participation of the ecosystem as a whole, not just be here to post appeal requests, and that kind of thing, right? And so that's something that I think I wanted to just come out and candidly say that's what we did. That's why we did it. If you are having problems navigating the new discourse architecture, we definitely welcome any feedback and suggestions. What I can say is that most problems navigating the discourse architecture can be solved by introducing yourself, reading a couple articles, reading the things that are suggested to be read in the start here, and before you know it, you'll be well oriented and I guess bestowed with all the rights and privileges to act in the discourse as you will. Right now, the other thing that we're going through is a bit of a decision around how we manage the appeal process going forward. There is consideration to start introducing a more, operationally viable ticketing system, which, to give you some background, discourse originally, the reason that we kind of moved to discourse for appeals, as some of you here may know, some of you here may not, is really just as a way of having more reliable record keeping of what it is that issuer appeals and the whole appeal process and where your codes are, all of that kind of thing. Keeping it in Discord was becoming massively untenable. We were having situations where people were getting, DM'd in the middle of the night. Where are my POAPs? Where are my mint links? The review, we don't know when it was reviewed. And having at least a persistent place for all of that information was a very big thing. And then the other thing was that it also allowed us to have a more transparent way of handling the appeal process, the review process, of actually telling people, what they can be doing to improve their petitions, how to improve distribution methods, all of that kind of thing. And I think that this is kind of like the next step in the evolution of that going forward, we'll be keeping discourse as a place that people should be free to come talk about policy, to be, appealing any rejections or RFIs or any other things that you may have gotten. But in practice, the idea with discourse is going to be that's the place that you come to appeal your requests as part of a public process, not as the fastest way of getting it done. In order to get it done in the fastest way possible, what we do need is like a proper queuing system that requests certain information from people who are dropping POAPs. And so likely within the next week or so, you'll be seeing more announcements relating to that. And I guess that was my little several topic speech on this. We re-architected discourse to include trust levels. This is something that was part of a broader mission to do more transparent reviews and more engagement with our community and actually allowing the community to participate more in the governance of the protocol. And finally, please expect something that will make things slightly more convenient, hopefully in the near future.
So I love this. The thing I like most is the movement to a ticketing system, just because someone who wants to, they did a POAP request and they don't know the status of it. Of course, they can go to Discourse and post, but an authentic business-like ticketing system really seems like the right tool for that. So I'm happy that we're moving in that direction.
Thank you, Superphiz. Is there anyone else on the call that would like to speak up on any topics relating to anything the POAP review process, anything about why things get approved or don't get approved, or when we do requests for information, anything of that nature?
Hey, just a compliment. I really appreciate the newsletter yesterday, with information to go kind of get more educated on things going on. That was a big win. Not that I was necessarily directly correlated, but super cool. Good progress.
Tap, you're leaking alpha. Tap. Okay, so Tap, as always, manages to steal the show. One thing that we can say is that there is a more general POAP ecosystem newsletter coming out. Right now, it's in private testing with some internal members of the POAP network, call it some certain community leaders, some certain issuers, so on and so forth. But guys, rest assured, at some point in the near future, there will be a way to stay completely up to date on all things this week at POAP. That will be widely accessible to everyone. But Tap, come on.
Gave up the goods, Tap. What is it? Come on, bro. You're making POAP Tap.
He's skating.
It's really hard.
In his defense, I was under the impression that we were going to leak it on this call anyway. So
Okay, well, you know what? Like, in that case, we can just pretend like that was the plan.
Oh yes, of course. Hey, Isabel, you want to introduce the POAP weekly newsletter?
Yes, absolutely. So, Superphiz, did you know we've decided to launch a weekly newsletter relating to everything the POAP ecosystem? I guess I'll be dropping the link in the announcements channel after we finish with this call. But in short, the idea is that it's going to be like a publication published on Ghost, the service, that you will be able to receive direct to your inbox and find out about new integrations that are happening, novelties with the protocol, any policy or structural changes. And also all sorts of things like cool drops, network growth, and neat things that we've seen this week come across the radar.
Yeah, and again, this is fantastic.
Don't get POAP anymore. Thank you.
So this newsletter, you know, as the community call, we're outsiders looking in. Like, we pick up things, you know, through the discourse or through Reddit or Twitter, and you know, we have an opportunity to share them here. But having an internal newsletter developed that we can then share with the community gives us just a great roadmap. So I'm very excited about that.
You know, so I think like what we're actually really trying to do here is start to break down some of that barrier between what is internal, what's external, right? I think we've always kind of said POAP is an ecosystem fundamentally, right? It's like this many tentacled octopus that we're all somehow participating in building in one way or another. Everyone that's here is participating in developing POAP, and so kudos to them for that. And so this newsletter is actually kind of like more of an attempt to figure out how we go from, you know, communicating internally between what was a team at one point of like 20 people to what is now a team of like 80 people to, in fact, what should be an ecosystem of I don't even know how many people, right? And I think developing some of those like information networks and ways of keeping everyone up to speed on everything that they need to be kept up to speed on, it's going to be crucial to the future of POAP, and I think I'm really excited about the progress we're making in that direction.
Yes, thank you. I love it. All of the right steps. Okay, so we have gotten two exciting pieces of information out of Isabel tonight, both the improvements to the discourse and the weekly newsletter. So thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you very much, Superphiz. I will now mute myself.
No, don't do that, because there's one more thing I want to ask you about.
Okay.
So do you want to? I don't know who else has a take on this, and so I'm really sort of opening this up to the floor, but I'd like you to begin. I also know that Dr. Malachi is on a kind of tight time schedule, and I wanted him to do something. But before we go, can you talk about POAP and Ukraine DAO stuff? Do you have any?
So I am afraid I do not fully know exactly what you are talking about. So POAP, like how to put it? I can say a couple of things towards general POAP philosophy. One thing is that we are a new protocol. The other thing is that we generally commemorate things that are important to people, and so anything that is participation in activism, charitable donations, anything that is commemoration of certain, not celebrations, but like, let's say, important moments, critical moments at this particular point, that is legitimate things to be making POAPs for. What is not legitimate things to be making POAPs for is things that are not actually events, right? And so when it comes to like that distinction, it's I think that the way that we've looked at this particular issue, and it was a bit of an internal discussion, because I think at this point I'm caught up, and I think I know what you may be referring to. This happened like maybe 24 to 48 hours ago, which is practically 3 years in Isabel time. But yeah, like it's been too long. But in short, the distinction that I think we're drawing, and in this case, we actually lean a little bit more on the side of being conservative, right? Where anything that is like and retweet for POAP, anything that can be framed even as that, right? You start to kind of come up on the question of fundamentally engagement farming, and is this proper usage of POAP? And I think particularly with this issue, part of the thing that we really wanted to be mindful of and sensitive of is that the topic is sensitive enough that it's like, if there is a time to toe the engagement farming line, this is not it, right? And so I don't know if that covers, let's say, the contours of the question that you had for me without posing the question.
Yeah, so it wasn't, I wasn't overly complex. It's simply the idea that I see a lot of DAOs forming, a lot of requests for donations, and recognizing the value of POAP to sort of encourage people to do something that they might have done anyway, but I've said this before in a way that I love. POAP makes you more of who you are, I guess.
Yeah,
and
I love that. I love that so much.
Yeah, I see that value for like Ukraine DAO. If a POAP is distributed there, like, yes, I might have given, but the knowledge that I might get a POAP from that, and the last thing I want to do, like, I swear the last thing I want to do is turn a world crisis into a POAP opportunity. But
right?
when we're talking about giving, sometimes people need to feel motivated to give. And I just
I see where you're coming from. So for us, like a POAP for attestation of genuine support, meaning on chain, like if and this is like an excellent use case for POAP delivery, by the way. One that I love is like art auctions. The other one that I actually really love is charitable donations of ETH to a particular cause that we actually are able to trace on the chain, and therefore able to set approvably and verifiably authentic POAP delivery for, right? So that, all good. Not all good is anything like and retweet. Anything that is like akin to how to say, like a sending
engagement farming.
Not to put it in rude terms.
Well, Isabel, I think I can segue into that really well with this thought that I had submitted a POAP with the idea of, if people got it, and I asked for a much higher request than I have in 2 months, with the idea for people to make it their profile picture. And it had the line on it, "Stand with Ukraine." So I knew there was a chance it may or may not get approved. It did not, and it did not hurt my feelings. Right. But it was with the idea of drawing awareness to the situation, and knowing that it would may go closer to farming than not. But it was something that was just an attempt and a learning thing, and that didn't bother me one way or the other. I was just putting it out there.
No, Dr. Malachi.
Malachi, but I get called a lot of things.
Okay, so I actually really appreciate like the, let's say, mature and adult response to the situation here, which is that you understand you're towing the line, and that some things will veer on one side of policy, some things will veer on the other, and you don't take it personally one way or the other. That I appreciate incredibly. So thank you for your maturity and your continual exploration of POAP policy. We appreciate you being a thought partner in this.
Hey, I have an example too on the other side where like everyone, like my whole Airbnb got COVID from East Denver except me. And this is kind of funny. So I made a POAP like, I went to East Denver and I got COVID or what, I don't know. I can't remember what it is. And I was like, I don't know that this will get approved, right? And so I was just really careful of like actually telling people they were going to get one, right? And so I was kind of surprised when it got approved, to be honest. And then I was like, oh, this is funny. Like, I'm going to then send it to my friends. And it was kind of interesting because like, it was almost like a get well card to them.
Well, so that's exactly the spirit of it, right? Like the idea here is yours was kind of an event that happened between friends that you were trying to commemorate. It's a kind of a consolidation of overall positive feelings that you mint into POAP form and then give someone. And we love that. So that's awesome.
I'm on the fence because on one hand, I desperately want that POAP. And on the other hand, I really, really do not want that POAP.
So my actual question, Tap, did you mint one of those POAPs?
No, I did not. Absolutely not.
Okay, good. Because I think that if you did, that would have constituted farming.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
that
I'm a
POAP.
pretty big believer that I do not mint. A lot of times I want to, right?
Yeah, but
But
you want to, you know you could, you have the opportunity, but you know you don't have the right, and you respect that boundary. That's a good thing.
Yeah, like
yeah, I think it's kind of important.
yeah, you definitely kept the spirit of
Speaking
that
of
POAP, because that's a POAP that you don't get. That POAP gets you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. I
speaking
mean, I think the best thing that you can do is like refuse to mint out of principle. Like just say like I don't want to remember this. Refuse to mint POAP.
it's such a
Hey,
cool one.
the other thing is a lot of people reached out for the actual POAP because they did actually get COVID. And so I had some extra codes. So and there's a few people that still I'm supposed to get 1 or 2 for, but I went to their Twitter to see if they were actually at Eat Denver, right? And I wasn't gonna ask for their medical records, right? But like I'm like, okay, they were at Eat Denver and they're saying they did get COVID. Like I'll trust that second piece of information. With a few of the extra codes I got, right? So like I think that's a good balance too of like how you just have to test people to a certain level and have some level of trust.
Yeah, so I think like that's where you start like towing the line a little bit, right? And the thing about like checking that they were actually at ETH Denver, I appreciate that you did the manual work because that does make like call it a smidge of a difference. But ultimately, like when we're asking issuers to issue POAPs, we are at some level asking issuers to act as like ultimately the oracle that tells us was this person here. It's someone that is kind of attesting to that thing, right? And so when you get into like people DMing you or messaging you for particular POAPs, you really start to kind of veer on into the gray area of issuer hazard, let's say, right? Where like you may be attesting to things that are not true, and that's where you start kind of crossing the line on, the other thing that we commonly end up flagging, which is basically irresponsible issuance.
I'm in trouble now.
Tap, you've got credit.
This is a conversation I love to have, and I want to shift this to Dr. Malachi because I know he has something he wants to talk about, and then we can get on. But I love that we are talking about, we're using phrases like toe the line, and I love being in communities where part of the exercise is sort of pushing and pulling and tugging at boundaries to find out really what's best practice, how can we grow together, and with that, there's always going to be a misstep. But if you're in a community where you're afraid to make a misstep, then it's probably not a healthy community anyway. So and that's, I want to turn it over to Dr. Malachi because he did a drop I guess today or yesterday that I thought was really interesting. He did a drop for State of the Union. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, thanks for letting me, because I do have to jump off in a second. Let me just first say I need to apologize to Frankie because we had a scheduled meeting on the 24th of February and it blew past, and I totally did not mean to stand him up. So Frankie, I know you're on here. I am sorry. We need to still have that meeting. Because I didn't mean to do that.
No worries. Me and Theo from the comms team will reschedule. We'll find a later date that will work. No worries.
Awesome. Well, so here's my thought, and I did put a tweet out about it. So, like, I love history, and I think everybody, I think a lot of you guys do. I think if you're in POAP community, you do. And I realize that in my mind, there's going to come multiple events where talks about, crypto and NFTs and POAPs will be just commonplace, and there will come a day that there'll be things to remember from these events. So, like, for example, you guys can't see my office. Every time I go to an event or a conference, I save every badge, every lanyard or badge that I have, just because A, I'm a hoarder, and B, I like to keep things. Thus, I love POAPs. But I love also live tweeting events, whether it be the Grammys, whether it be any event. And so last night I was live tweeting the State of the Union. Now, again, right, wrong, and different. I'm not debating which party people are part of or not. That doesn't bother me. I did work for a previous president, but that's neither here nor there. But I did a POAP because I wanted to selfishly have the first ever POAP for the State of the Union, because there will come a time that there will always be, I'm sure, you have to actually be at the State of the Union to get the POAP, I'm sure. So I did one because I wanted to find out if people were, I kind of put some tweets and feelers out ahead of time to see, hey, are you watching? Or what do you think of this? And so I kind of monitored that. And I did send a few of the codes to just friends in the POAP community that I really do appreciate and love. But I did want to create that. This is a very historical event. The first ever State of the Union was 1790. It was just the annual message to the nation. And so I thought this is where maybe the POAP, just commemorating something, goes even into these nationally historical events. And I would love to see, hey, someone 10 years from now can go, I've watched the last 10 State of the Unions and I've got a POAP proving it. And so, and I did 46 codes because it was the 46th president of the United States doing the State of the Union.
Yeah, I kind of understand where you're going with it. And I think like the thinking that went into this was actually like a fairly, how to say, at the end of the day, POAPs are, something that you give to celebrate an occasion that you experienced with certain people at a certain place in a particular moment in time, right? And I think for me, the particular petition that you are referring to kind of like started towing the line on, it's not that the 46 people that would have been selected theoretically fall under, they have no relationship with each other except for that they maybe tweeted something about the State of the Union and also somehow maybe saw this tweet about getting a POAP for it, right?
They actually never saw the tweet for the POAP because I did not even mention there would be one. I was careful to do that so that it kind of comes more as a surprise rather than a promise. I've actually just tried to make sure I don't do that anymore. So I used to do that.
Yeah. I know, and fully understood. So I think like how to say it? If you were minting POAPs for your family and friends because you were all on the couch watching together at your home, that would be totally kosher. When you start getting into like randomly distributing links to people on the internet, we start getting into some weird territory, right? And maybe this is something that I think is like one thing that I want to maybe take a moment to acknowledge here. The POAP curation body policy is something that is evolving and developing. We constantly see cases that like, this is an edge case for, is this an event? It's an edge case for, is this attendance? It's an edge case for all sorts of various things. And I think you particularly picked something that was like exactly that form of edge case where, is the State of a Union an event? Yes. Were you celebrating it with certain people? Kind of. But ultimately at that point, it kind of comes down to the likelihood of those codes getting into the hands of people who somehow are involved with that historical event versus people who decide to, I don't know, after the fact tweet something and then, deserve to claim. Like, it just didn't seem to me, for whatever reason, whether this is, well justified or not, that it would go into the hands of people who were trying to celebrate a memory. Does that kind of make sense?
Oh, no, it makes perfect sense. I always kind of test. I mean, you guys know me well enough now.
I like you for that.
Yeah. And so, and I know I really don't have hurt feelings because I actually, it came today. And so I was like, if it comes, it comes, it doesn't. But I also like the idea that there will come a day that I could see people doing this with family and friends. And there'll come a day that you'll see more. I know politics can be seen as evil or good or bad or different, where I want to make people even in the, like even by using certain hashtags, I want people to go, oh, what is POAP? And then actually drive people as a top of funnel into something they've never heard of. Now they will. We all know that because we're still at the ground floor of this. So it was a test for me. I'm always kind of learning by what is approved, what's not approved, not asking for a lot of codes, having fun with it. And yes, I do have people in the political, because I was in politics, who are friends who did watch it online, who are, even people who are in the House and the Senate, who I've got codes to send to them because I want them to begin to get into this, and I don't want the government to regulate crypto. So anyway, but yeah, again, I'm always going to test it, and if it doesn't get approved, my feelings will not ever be hurt. So
I'd like to add another dimension to this. So the question becomes, who are the people that you celebrated with? And that kind of like, it kind of makes you question, like, who is your community? And traditionally, you know, our community is our family. They're the people who stay in the house with us. And now we're kind of in a thing, at least for me, my community are people on Discord. They're like ETH staker. And for my wife, she's like, well, you've never met those people. Well, I have now. But in general, you haven't met those people. How can they be your community? And I'm like, well, they are. And so I look at someone like Coltron, who is in here, and I've never met Coltron. I've never even had an individual interaction with him. But because I'm aware of his presence on the network, I feel like he and I share a community. And so when it comes to something like Dr. Malachi's distribution of a State of the Union POAP that goes to people who were, in his view, in his community, doing something at the same time that he was doing it, that is kind of a, you know, a shared experience. I feel like that's a valid representation of his community at that time.
Oh, let me just add.
I think super valid. I think the point that I might draw to your attention here is that this is not so much, from what I understood of the petition at the time, it was kind of like not so much people who he knows personally that are part of his community before the fact, but rather people who hashtagged State of the Union or something.
So I would push on that because, again, Isabel, not push in a bad way, just because you know, Twitter is kind of the world I've lived in for many years, and some of my best friends have come through digital interactions that turned into private, personal IRL meetings. I knew that anyone that interacted with any of my tweets would probably follow me in other ways because my previous life was politics. So I really feel like those that did interact with it are people that I've had some sort of prior interaction with. They weren't complete strangers. Now, a few complete strangers will get it because it was a test if they interact with it. But and again, like, I'm the kind of person, if we meet once, I'll probably say we're good friends. That's just how I live. And my wife might say, there ain't no way you don't even really know them. And so, yeah, I like to, and I feel like the Twitter community is like my tribe, and I like expanding the borders of that. So I get what you're saying. I do love what Superphiz said. And I just wanted something on record forever about the State of the Union, because again, 10 years from now, I'm sure there will be other events, you know, inaugurations and other various multiple things that, you know, so maybe a POAP history. And again, this also helps, Isabel, what you're saying about further describing in the request, even getting better with clarity on you know, who, what, when, where, why, and how, so that it's even more clear.
So that because like, honestly, having crystal clear descriptions in the request does more for accelerating petition review than you would possibly know, than anything else that you could. It just, a well-presented petition is like worth its own weight in gold. We actually celebrate these things internally, if you believe it. To go back to like the question of, so I do hear what you're saying. I think for me at that point, it kind of becomes like it's a slippery slope policy-wise, right? Because, okay, so what you did versus celebrating, you know, a much smaller event and hashtagging more random things, it becomes a very difficult place to figure out where to draw the line. And I kind of feel like a more reliable distribution mechanism for Twitter, which in fact is kind of what's needed here, until there's like a way of saying, you know, that you can pull a snapshot of the people that would have qualified. I think until such time, it's going to be complicated to get random distributions for Twitter, let's say.
No, I agree. And I got to jet with this, but I'll just say this. One, thank you, Isabel, because I do appreciate this. Helps me learn and grow. And honestly, in the days ahead, I'll be driving friends of different people into a new Discord I'll start, and we'll be interacting in real time, even though we're in different places about such things. And so I have learned that clarity and what you said it helps. The POAP having good descriptions in the art and lower number of codes has, for me personally, has helped. And then honestly, submitting requests and trying to get ahead of it. So I mean, like, give it plenty of time to be approved or disapproved, not hoping to get one within 10 minutes, you know? So this helps me, and I'm going to continue to test the waters and learn and grow to be helpful for the overall community. So thank you guys for letting me jump on. I love being a part of this, and I hope to add, again, real value. And again, my doctorate's in digital media, social media. So I love studying human behavior because that's what drives a lot of things, current, past, previous, and future human behavior for future success. So.
Hey, thank you for coming. I always look forward to your insights here. With you, love talking about edge cases. I think that's how it will eventually define the boundaries. So thanks again for coming. We'll look forward to seeing you again.
Same. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you.
I said this in the chat, but I just wanted to mention it again. I experimented with sort of an interesting way to distribute a POAP to a lot of people that you don't know. And the way I did it was on Twitter, and it was for the James Webb Space Telescope launch. And what I required everyone to do was to DM me at precisely the moment of stage separation for this space launch. And it worked very well because I could easily tell, oh, this guy messaged me 2 minutes later. Sorry, you missed it, you know? And I can't remember how many codes I actually distributed, but yeah, that was an interesting experience.
Yeah,
That's
so
another-
Logic Beach, what I think I commented was like the idea of actually asking people to like a question of like what only someone that was there is actually really smart.
And
that wasn't like
stream would be
6 o'clock. Go ahead, Defi dude. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, and with my luck, the stream would be like 2 minutes delayed. So even though I was watching,
Yeah,
I was
a little bad about that. Go
This
ahead.
goes along with POAP making me more of who I am, because that was at like 6 a.m. on Christmas morning, and I definitely would have slept through it. But because of Logic Beach's POAP, I was like, I really don't want to miss that. And because of that, I got to participate in something that was historic, really just because I wanted the POAP.
Yeah, that was a lot of
we
fun
have-
to get a lot of people to watch something that I was super excited about. It was really magical.
We have a couple other things on the agenda. Logic Beach, since you're up now, do you want to talk about Make the World a Better Place?
Yeah, I'm actually sitting here with Britton.eth, who is a new curator at POAP. She manages it, but she's doing
sorry.
something on her phone. But she manages the Twitter page for Make the World a Better Place. And what we do is we offer POAPs for people doing provably good in the real world, like what are we calling it? Actionable good things in the real world. So every month we come up with a new challenge. Usually it comes to us in a dream or in the shower or something stupid, but we did take a picture of your reusable water bottle, because the less plastic that is in the landfill or in the streams or whatever, the better. So that makes the world a better place for you just using a reusable water bottle, right? That was last month's. For this month, we're offering a POAP to anybody that prepares a vegan meal. And how we want to do this is we want you to write like the ingredients on a piece of paper and date it, like a timestamp. Take the picture of the vegan meal with that timestamp, and that's how you earn the POAP. Because a vegan meal has a massively hold on, it's the other way around. Vegan meals have a tiny carbon footprint compared to meals that include meat. Yeah, so that makes the world a better place. And I have mentioned it before, but there is a bounty currently for the art for this POAP. We're hoping to release it tonight, so you guys have like an hour and 15 minutes to get your art in. There's some really good submissions in there. Go check it out, or I'll share some. Oh, and I just wanted to mention, we are going to put together a raffle for anybody that currently holds a POAP that we have distributed in the past for completing these challenges. I will just fund this out of my own pocket, but I would also love to try to find sponsors that maybe want to help make the world a better place by making it more fun. I don't know. Just an open-ended sort of call out to the universe. If you guys want to help us grow together, that would be really cool.
Logic Beach, I just wanted to ask really quick, when did you start your Make the World a Better Place campaign? Just for everyone's records.
I think the first one we experimented with it was in August. We did POAP cleanup in August or September. But yeah, just about 6-7 months ago. Britton's here telling me that it was October, but
September.
okay, September. Yeah. And that first one actually was amazing. The response for that was amazing. We were just like, take a picture of yourself cleaning up trash and you'll earn a POAP. that was our like first test run, and what ended up happening is a lot of people were just like trying to take pictures offline and send it to us. So we decided to add timestamps written in the picture with like hashtag POAP cleanup or hashtag make the world a better place as a requirement, so we don't have to reverse image search every submission. But yeah, about 7 months.
I really love that, actually. Are you doing anything else
I
in the
love it.
future?
DeFi
So-
dude.
I'm like looking you up now,
so
and I'm trying to like
it's,
figure out how to get involved because it's
are we
just
ready
sweet.
to do spotlights? Are you good for that?
I am. If you guys are ready, can do it.
Let's go.
All right. I do have a few this week. So I did miss the last 2 calls due to family and stuff, so I'm not sure if someone spotlighted anything in those, but yeah, I try to every call at least get some cool POAPs that I thought was cool at least to share with you guys. And there's no way for me to like screen share, so I usually just post the pictures of them into the community calls channel. So if you're not in a chat right now on Discord, we usually keep all the chat in community calls channel on Discord for these calls. So the first one I wanted to spotlight is actually the ethereum.org 2022 contributor POAP. And I like the design. I think it looks great. And also, I mean, it's kind of like home almost, it's ethereum.org. We're all, I think we're all very familiar with Ethereum. And yeah, just a way to I guess not reward but award contributors to ethereum.org, because I believe like the website itself is open source, and you can contribute. So very cool, kind of outsourcing curation and giving them a little POAP in reward. The next one is actually one that we briefly discussed during this call. I don't know if it's the exact one, because there's actually been a few, but it's just one of the, I got COVID at ETH Denver. This one was actually I met the Buffacron, so I guess like Omnicron variant, but Buffacron because the ETH Denver mascot is called the Buffacorn. I believe it's like a buffalo unicorn thing. So I guess COVID's not really funny. No sickness is funny. But it's good that they're at least making light of the situation and giving POAPs out if you manage to yeah, be unfortunate and get COVID while you were there. So and there's another one here I'll share. Again, I don't know. I believe this one has a little less transfers, but just to show that it's not the only one. If you did go to ETH Denver, a lot of people did walk away or go home with COVID, unfortunately. Next up, I do have a Met IRL POAP.
I created that one.
Which one?
The
second
one
one?
you just showed. Yeah, the
Yeah.
second created one. Yeah.
I thought that was you. I thought I saw in one of our chats you posted that a while ago. I thought, yeah, worth sharing. But yeah, the next one is a Met IRL one. We've kind of covered this in the past. People have started to do more of this. If you meet someone IRL, you can get a POAP for meeting them. And this one I just decided to spotlight because it's our very own Patricio, who we all know and love. If you've met him in March, only in person, you get a POAP. And I do know, like, I think the last time I covered some, there was another POAP team member, and probably dozens of people doing this at this point. And just 2 more real quick I'll run through. This one is animated actually, and it is actually by Logic Beach, who's in our call right now. I hope I'm not like spoiling anything, but yeah, I thought this was really cool. I'm gonna post the link just because it is animated, so it's kind of hard to appreciate it unless you like visit the link and see. I just really like.
I'm gonna give this context by posting that actual puzzle. I ended up just giving it away for free at the last minute. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, no worries. I thought it was cool. I like the design, and I do like took advantage of the twos. A few days ago, well, I guess by now it's a little over a week, but February 22nd, 2022. So 2/22, 2022. Lots of twos there, so I thought that was cool. And then the last one I wanted to spotlight, which I actually only came across during this call, so when mentioned in chat. I'm not up to date with like pop culture or I don't know, like famous people, I guess. But yeah, Boy George, I guess, is a singer, songwriter, or some kind of well-known person, I guess. And yeah, they actually performed in the metaverse, in Decentraland, and yeah, gave out a POAP if you attended that. And as always, I think me personally, I think like live events in Decentraland, like concerts and all sorts of things like that, very cool and great use case for POAP. To be able to reward these people and know that they're there. You have to be there to claim it. There's no um, question about it. And yeah, just super cool. And that's kind of all I had for Spotlight this week. Always curious, if anyone else has any, feel free to share some in the chat.
Hey,
Came
I
across
find
anything
it
cool.
interesting. So like, kind of like NFT culture. There was a different Boy George one that actually was POAP number 4206969. uh, I kind of keep track of like interesting, fun mints. Like I was like, when's the next millionth Pope and that POAP? And then I saw that number was coming up, and I was like, oh, this is kind of funny. But Boy George apparently is like making a very large, I don't know, if comeback. I think 80s musician, right? So pretty cool. You're gonna kick me off the stage now for that comment.
What? I would never. I was actually thinking about putting you on stage next. Thanks, DeFi dude. I'm still. I remember DeFi dude from my childhood. I'm sorry, that's you. I remember Boy George from my childhood. But I have never actually successfully claimed a Decentraland POAP. That might need to be one of my goals for the week. I've come close to several, but I've never actually claimed one.
Ditto.
Oh, we should do that together.
I'm down. I haven't done it either, and my fixed laptop's back, so I should be able to try it.
So Tap, you have your organization POAPathon. For anyone who doesn't know, if you want a POAP developed, like the image, you can go to poapathon.com, submit a form, pay a bounty, like $150 or $250. And I know that's a lot, but it's really great art. Then artists come together and design, and you choose the one you like the most. But POAPathon, mostly Tap and his group of buddies created something called Cryptogs. And the reason it's relevant to POAP is I have spent probably the past 2 days working my butt off to get this POAP. What can you tell us about it?
Oh, sorry. I'm trying to post in the community channel and talk at the same time. But if you do have community call number 4 POAP, I just posted a link that you can mint a pack from. Not everyone's eligible. We picked certain POAPs so you could mint packs, and then essentially they're pogs. But if you collect a full set, there's 71 pogs. Essentially, the first 5 people we're giving a physical pack of pogs to, and we're also going to give them a POAP so that we can try and use POAP chat. I have never used it before, but that's my intention, so we can actually get their address to mail them the pack. So it's kind of like an interesting experiment, right? On that side. And kind of cool. But one of the things we also did is like for community call number 4, also on the mint side, we're basically connected with the POAP team, and they have an API. I don't know how much they want me to talk about this, but we call that API to get all the lists of addresses associated with a POAP. And what's great is POAP Gallery now allows you to download a CSV to do that as well. And so this is a really interesting way where like our mint is free. We want people to get access to this pack of pogs for free initially. Whether people value it as more money, you can go to OpenSea and collect these. That's a whole nother game. But essentially it's digital pogs. If you think about it, that you'll be able to play with if we're successful in developing the game, which I think we will be. We have some developers working on it now. I just like to set really low expectations, if that's helpful.
I
So that's
just
gonna
got
be
excited about the own all 71 cryptogs and get a POAP, and I was like, yes, I must do that.
yeah. I was kind of like not trying to promote the POAP side of it, right? Of like that's the major thing. It's like, oh, you're gonna get a physical pack actually. And the POAP is the mechanic that allows us to identify and communicate with people via the address that we see the 71 cryptogs with via POAP.chat, which I don't even know if is like an official tool,
It
but I
is.
think it exists.
It is an official tool. It's just not highly supported, I guess, or highly promoted.
So we're gonna see how that works. But those are the types of like tests and mechanics of POAP that I keep on like trying to push the limits around. And I'll probably get wrecked, right? In trying this because not many people have used that technology. So like this is pretty like leading edge, bleeding edge type of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of the intention of the use of that POAP. And we haven't even created the design for the POAP yet, but we're like spending a lot of time and actually commissioning the artwork because like not many people, like we're only giving this to like 5 or maybe 10 people total. And it's extremely exclusive and extremely hard to accomplish and get to the event of having a full collection, if that makes sense. So I don't know, playing around with a few different things. But I do think the POAP.chat actually provides the opportunity to identify someone on chain that you can communicate with, it sounds like, that then we can grab their addresses for example, so we can mail them something physical. And so I think that's like one of the cool things is POAP is like IRL to the metaverse back to IRL type of situations. And that's like I'm probably talking a lot here, but like we gave physical packs at ETH Denver that had a POAP that allow you to mint and collect digital pogs, which then we're going to give you a POAP that allows us to identify who you are if you have a full collection, that then we can mail you more cool stuff.
Hey, someone wants to know what did you do with community call number 4? It wasn't clear what you said.
Oh, if yeah, you can mint a pack of cryptogs because that's a POAP we selected to be eligible for the free mint.
So
From the link
special about the call. It was just if you were there, then you're eligible.
Yep. Yeah, we picked a bunch of different POAPs. So like People DAO POAP because they were one of our sponsor, one of their community calls. We also added the DevCon 4 and 5 POAPs because like we're like, let's give some ETH OGs some different NFTs, right? So this is really like unique ways you can use POAPs actually to like reward different communities and engage in them, almost in like reverse social marketing, if that makes sense. So we're not doing any minting in that regard and giving them out to everybody. What we're doing is saying like, hey, if you have this pretty thing in your wallet, we're gonna give you something special because we think we'd like you to be involved with our community. For good or bad, like that could be used for like phishing attempts too. So be careful, in that regard because we are talking crypto as well. But yeah, that's kind of like some of the crazy stuff that we're playing around with and doing at POAPathon.
How do you mint more than one pack of cryptogs?
You don't. Like it's a free mint and you only get one pack to mint. We did drop some additional packs to our core community so they hold more of the cryptogs tokens, which equates to like maybe like 20% or 25% of the total NFT pool. But the only way you can get more is by trading them and or going to OpenSea and collecting them there.
Thanks for the info.
Yeah, I mean, like we're kind of having fun battles in collecting them, which is great.
It's like a whole other quest.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was not gonna mess with this, but I'm having I'm having a little trouble slowing down.
Me too.
So Tap and I are in like this war for the floor, but it's fun. So it's all good, right?
It's a lot of fun. And it, like, here's the deal is like the artists are all POAPathon artists that are making the designs within our design services. Like they made via the contest all these creations, right? So that's kind of the cool thing is like it showcases their art and the artists themselves. There's some work we need to do to like put attribution in there. And then one of the things we're considering, but no promises, is like, could we actually carve off a portion of secondary sales revenue, because there is that could then go back to the artists themselves. So we're kind of getting off the topic of POAPs, but you know, those are some mechanics that you think about when you're talking about building distributed communities and rewarding the people making contributions. Everyone did get paid for the bounties that they won. So there was monetary value associated with that. But those are some things to think about in the digital art world that get pretty cool, that I think we're going to be some of the first ones to accomplish and do. There's no promises there, because like the community has to agree on doing that, and then we have to have resources to actually do that development. So if that's something that is interesting to you from an artist perspective, as well as a bit of developer side of things, you know, feel free to hop in our community and participate.
All right. So I think with that, we're going to close it up. I do know, thank you so much, Defi Dude. I missed you a lot. Defi Dude has ended degen, and the claims are now available in the POAP-claim channel if you type /claim. Thank you so much, Motaba Shahi, for illustrating that for everyone. And so, yeah, you can go ahead and claim your POAP up and see someone's already doing exclamation mark claim. That is not correct. You will not get anything for the exclamation mark. We've actually sort of discussed a temporary banning bot for people who have difficulty with the instructions, but it happens. Everybody's fine. Anyway, thank you so much for coming out to POAP Curators Call number 8. We do this every Wednesday at the same time. And we're glad everyone came out. And anybody got any closing thoughts? All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks,
I'm going to end the
everyone.
call. Yep. And we will see you guys in a week.